We in trucking have noticed this year that there seems to be a serious lack of freight, a shortage of loads. But why is that? The short answer is that the freight market has entered the perfect storm this year. There are multiple reasons for this freight shortage. Let's talk about them. This video is sponsored by GP Transco. Number one, the price of fuel. Now the price of fuel has come down since last year, but it's still far too high. It's too high to the point that many shippers are now moving their freight by rail rather than by truck. And the Biden administration is all for this, make no mistake. This recent merger that they've granted between CP Rail and Kansas Southern is estimated to take 63,000 truckloads off the highways this year and every year after that. The Biden administration loves this because they feel trains are more environmentally friendly, and they feel this will reduce fatalities on our highways involving trucks. Reason number two, the after effects of COVID and the following recession. Now, the U.S. economy is a monstrous financial, economic, industrial machine, and you can't just shut off a machine like that and then expect it to start up a few years later with just the flick of a switch. It takes a whole lot of time to get a machine that big to up to full capacity again. It's suffering, it's grinding, it will get there, but it's going to take more time. We haven't given it enough time to recover. Reason number three, China. China is one of our biggest manufacturers, and they are still in the throes of suffering from COVID. Their manufacturing and their shipping is not back to capacity. We're seeing a shortage of Chinese product from overseas into our ports. That is affecting the number of truckloads we handle as well. Reason number four, the ports themselves. America's biggest ports, LA and Long Beach, have been suffering from COVID layoffs and labor troubles for the last year or so. So they've been running slowly and less efficiently. You may remember in the news last year they were talking about all the container ships anchored off the West Coast waiting to unload. At one point there were over 100 ships sitting at anchor waiting for weeks to offload their cargo. This had a massive financial effect on the overseas shippers. They lost millions and millions of dollars while those ships sat and waited to unload, and they decided they weren't going to repeat that mistake, and now a lot of them ship to Europe rather than to the US, and that's a loss of freight. A good way to beat this freight recession is to work for a good carrier that has a lot of freight. GP Transco has absolutely no shortage of freight. First-year drivers at GP Transco make between $80,000 and $90,000 a year. They've got full benefits, they're W-2 employees, and they've got a 401k with a company match and excellent equipment. GP Transco hires owner-operators as well. Check them out at gptransco.com. Number five, the loss of confidence in globalization. Now, at one time it was everyone's dream, every manufacturer's dream, to ship and sell globally. But with the recent events in the world in the past year or two, COVID, the Russian-Ukrainian war, China's impending war with Taiwan, troubles with the oil industry, all sorts of manufacturers are reconsidering globalization. They're no longer looking at the world as their entire market. They're now starting to feel that maybe they were safer just shipping closer to home, and all sorts of European markets have now quit shipping to America, and that is a loss of freight. Number six, a loss of manufacturing in America. Many years ago, America looked at the cost of labor in Mexico and in China and decided it would be much cheaper to make all of their goods over there and then bring them over here. The problem is now that that manufacturing in America that was once in America has been lost. And those markets are not coming back. That's a loss of freight, that's a loss of shipping out of American production plants. And the automotive industry is probably the biggest example of this. Number seven, load brokers, my favorite. Now, because there's a shortage of freight, load brokers have decided that they want to capitalize on this market. They still want to make the huge profits that they were making before. So what they're doing is taking the fewer loads that they have and selling them at bottom rates. And they know that there are carriers out there, truck drivers, that will move freight for cheap or for break even just to be on the move, even though it makes no economic sense. Good carriers look at the spot market and the load brokers now and are not taking loads from load brokers, and that is a loss of freight as well. Reason number 8, rising inflation. Since the end of COVID, since last year really, inflation has been increasing and increasing and increasing. And inflation increases the cost of everything. It increased the cost of goods. So fewer people can afford fewer goods. Therefore, fewer people are buying, therefore there's less shipping of these goods, and that has hurt America as far as loads are concerned as well. There is just less freight to be moved. For all of these reasons, there is less freight available now to trucks than there was before. But America has the world's greatest economic industrial machine, and it will get going again, and it relies on trucking, so trucking will accelerate again in the future. It's just going to take a little while to get back to where it was before. So have faith, work your way through this freight recession in whatever way is best for you, stay safe, keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you on the backhaul.